as you can see, as you're looking at it, Battle for New York 2018. So normally we have like a Nerofest type of event. It will be called Nerofest. It is a tournament base. So you're going to have 3 rounds, preliminaries, semifinals, and finals. And each time the farming nodes change a little bit and the teams on the nodes change. The amount of drops change each time. And so you get more the more you go through it. And also the difficulty ramps up. But the main thing you're going to be farming this for is going to be for the lottery. Because lotteries, if you haven't already known by now, are super duper important for how many materials you get. So what is in the lottery? So you're going to have like this lottery box, I already know. You're going to get all of this. All of this in one box. You're going to get all these gems, all these apples, mana prisms, these materials, these experience cards, these friend points, these JP, and that. You're getting all of this. Plus, the grand prize is this CE, which will be helpful for the event after the first 5 boxes, because the first 5 boxes are going to have that CE. After that, a crystallized lore. Then 7 through 10 is going to have gold foes. So you're going to get 2 of each, 2 HP, 2 attack. And after that, 11 and onward, no grand prize. You're only getting these items. And that's a lot. But this is why this is so important. You farm this forever. They don't stop you. You can farm this until the end of days. But don't roll. I mean, if you can help it, don't roll while the event is live. They're actually going to give you some time the week after to roll these lottery boxes. You might remember 2 years ago, Toho Sniper actually fell asleep on stream rolling for Da Vinci lottery boxes. He had so many. This is going to be the main thing here. So what do we need? What's something that we're going to need to worry about? So for the preliminaries, the thing you're going to worry about is the garden here. Garden is going to be the last one. You're going to be getting just the lottery tickets here. Yeah, you're going to get all these other things down here, like these burgers, these hot dogs, the fries, the whole McDonald's combo here. But really, this is going to be the real source of just lottery tickets. Servant that I actually would recommend, there's 4 main ones. Obviously, if you have Waver, Tamamo, Merlin, or Scotty, you're good, right? As you can see where I'm going here. Hans Christian Andersen is one of those servants that if you have leveled up, is gonna do some good things for you. He's a really cheap caster, but what he does is insane. He's going to be able to increase your party's crit rate. He has a battery charge of 75% for himself, and his 3rd skill right here gets you critical stars for every turn from 3 to 9, but it does reduce his defense. This will change, by the way. This will change next year, and it will be a busted skill. But we're not there yet. We're here now. His double phantasm is the main reason why you're going to want to use him. Because on MP level, which is going to be really easy on a 2-star, has a chance to increase the party attack for 3 turns, has a chance to increase the party defense for 3 turns, and recovers HP every turn for 3 turns. That's 20 to 40% depending on overcharge for defense and attack, and then 1,000 to 3,000 HP depending on overcharge again. And the activation chance, depending on level, is 60 to 80%. So it's real easy to get this to 80%. Is that still a chance? Yeah, there's RNG could fuck you, but this is a really good buff. It has a really good chance to actually help you out, do some damage in the long run. So obviously, if you're putting this down the scale, you're going to want to put this toward the end, or at least like in the middle. You don't want to start off with this. Might not be as optimal for damage during the turn, but you really do get some real gains by waiting, at least with the overcharge level. And as you know, if you get an MP chain going, it does increase the charge. 1 to 2 does increase the charge. Obviously, do all 3 to increase the charge. 1 doesn't, because it's not a chain. Anyway, that's one servant I highly recommend that you level. Another servant, another 2-star, Shakespeare. Level Shakespeare. If you haven't leveled Shakespeare, he is an all-star. This is going to be your Buster support. This is your Merlin if you don't have Merlin. Look, right here, right off the bat, 20% Buster performance, or to 40 It is 1 turn, 5-turn cooldown right off the bat. He has himself invisibility, which, you know, so it's kind of situational. You might not need that. But his 3rd skill, which you unlock after strengthening, charges 1 ally's MP by 20% and increases their critical star generation for 1 turn. So right there, you got that extra 20% battery that you can just target anyone that you need. This is going to be super helpful and good in supports. And not that bad to level up either. He does have an offensive base Noble Phantasm that has a chance to stun, but unless you have a high overcharge with it, the stun chance is kind of like, it can happen, it cannot happen. But as you see, like, really, he just needs pages, and I guess Void Dust is a big thing too. So if you're hurting on Void Dust, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's not that much, and the QP investment isn't that bad either for his skills. He's definitely worth investing in. Definitely do that. He's going to help you for any one of these setups, just in general, but for Gilfest for sure. If you don't have all these major 5-stars, he's going to help you in that regard. You actually see another server I'm actually going to, another bronze caster, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Absolutely crazy, right? Why would I suggest a 1-star? It's bad enough I got 2 2-stars, right? 1 star, he can't be that good. Hold my beer. First skill, like with Shakespeare, he has a 22 to 44% arch performance for 1 turn. So for your arch team, if you need a burst damage, he's going to be good for that. Second skill, he reduces server's MP strength for damage for 1 turn. That's not going to really matter too much, maybe niche, but not really too much. This 3rd skill is what you're going to need to pay attention to. Look at that. Okay, you gain critical stars. Puh, whatever. Instinct isn't really that good. Look at the amount. Level 1 is 20. Level 10 is 50. This is the biggest crit star drop ever. Like, okay, I really need to crit this turn. Here's 50 stars. Have fun. 50 stars matters a lot because at that point, 50 stars make sure every card that you have has 100% crit to it. It's really good. So just for that alone, yeah, it's on a 6-turn cooldown, but for the burst, if you need it, that is really good, and he's really cheap to invest in. So there's another mainstay caster that I think should be leveled up, at least in preparation for Gilfest, and just for future events involved, but just in general, it's good to have. Might not be who you think I'm going to suggest. Personally, I do like Hohenheim. Hohenheim's pretty good, but he requires a specific art setup, and if you do not have that art setup, you are going to have a hard time building around him. He is good when you get there, and I'll talk about him in a second. But let's talk about Coup Caster for a second. Alright, this guy. The only problem that he has is the fact that he is story locked. But the good thing is everyone should, if you didn't burn him, should at least have 1. So why, oh why am I saying you should level this guy? Well, 1, he just got this buff that charges his own MP gauge from 20-30%. Which on top of already increases his critical damage and debuff resistance. As well, obviously he has the protection of arrows. Already, for 3 attacks, it's literally the same skill. So there you go. He has pretty good protection. And he also removed his own debuffs. But the damage in here, the damage Noble Phantasm, he's going to be doing way more damage than you might think. If you're lucky enough and can get those multiple copies, he's going to be hitting harder. Is he someone that I would use in every single situation? No, but I don't think you should sleep on him because there are going to be certain enemies in this that I'm going to need you to pay attention to. But just so I'm not being a complete, I'm not completely removing, Hohenheim is going to be good for multiple reasons. First of all, he has an 80% battery, which is 5% more than Hans. Really, really good. That arch performance for 3 turns, this is party-wide, 10 to 20%. It's going to make sure it's really good to help himself and others. And his 3rd skill, which actually just got buffed, normally gives him the guts, but actually increases, it's targetable now, and increases their MP generation for 3 turns. On top of that, his MP does pretty good. Now, he is a caster. He's not going to be doing that much damage, so you're going to need to buff him up. If you have a team that can do that, great. But no, he's a greater cog. Like, he's just a piece in the machine. But I did want to highlight him. Garden is going to be taking advantage of Berserkers and Lancers. So you're going to need Sabers. You're going to need Sabers to deal with that. If you have good Sabers here, good farming Sabers, then bring them out. Bring out Artoria. That busted. She did get a buff. Not the super buster buff that she got in JP, but she did get a buff, so she would be good here to use if you have her. Obviously Altera, obviously Mordred, stuff like that. But if you don't have any of these, it's kind of hard to go free to play here. One servant that can actually help you, Paul Bunyan. If you already have Paul Bunyan and you haven't leveled her up, level her up. She has one of the quicker Noble Phantasms tied with a Raj, and it hits really hard. Not only does she have that buster performance, she also can recover HP in a pinch, and can also reduce enemies' defense, which is another thing to keep in consideration. 10 to 20% for 3 turns is not for nothing, and the amount of damage she does on her Noble Phantasm is great. She's a 1-star, so you kind of need to take that into consideration. Real cheap option, cheap welfare option. But you also have Cha-Cha. If you do have her in some way or capacity, the fact that she can charge her MP every turn, okay, that's fine per se. If you max it out, that's 10% per turn, right? So that's pretty good. But it's mainly just the fact that she's a Berserker, and you can do some damage with her. Toho used her quite a bit. In a lot of the cheap farming setups, or just setups that he likes to test because he has every single servant in the game. It's kind of insane. But if you have that and you have the ability to level her up, definitely do so. If you missed out the copies, you are going to probably be doing less damage, but it's really hard to suggest some servants here, except there is one all-star. Oh boy! Spartacus! Spartacus! Cheap 1-star. What does this do with no shirt doing on your screen? Well, let me tell you something. This is a 1-star Berserker servant that can increase his own buster performance to 40% if you level it up, and can give himself guts and has a 10 to 30% battery. That's what this guy is. So that means this opens up the door for you to use him in 3-turn comps. X0, I am so sorry, made a document that actually had so many uses that just keyed it to just using Spartacus because of the fact he has that battery and all the damage that he does on his Noble Phantasm, which is Buster. He has a Buster increase, so it makes it real easy to use him. But on top of that, he has the Madness EX, Mana Enhancement EX, 12% additional Buster performance on top of that, so that's 52% Buster performance for the turn on top of everything else, and it ignores defensive buffs, so that's not for nothing. Spartacus is really good. If you haven't leveled him up, you definitely should. Like I said, bones are gonna be an issue. If you don't have bones, that might be a problem. But if you do, Spartacus is gonna carry you the way. Cha-Cha, Paul Bunyan, and Spartacus are gonna be the ones I'm gonna suggest to you guys for this. And obviously, if you have any sabers, go ahead and take those out, and that's gonna be for the preliminaries. But we got the semifinals next. Semifinals is gonna be a little bit harder if you're just trying to go through this. We have assassins here, which means going free to play might be a little difficult. You're blessed by the Gotcha Gods. Got some options. Already mentioned Hohenheim. You can use that if you want. I guess you can use Elizabeth Bathory if you have her, but I mean, you can definitely do better. But let's talk about the great Pharaoh Nitocris. Nitocris is really good for this, and if you don't know, you will know now. Her whole thing is insta-death with her Noble Phantasm, so the first skill increases the death rate from 50 to 100% depending on the level of it. But look at that. Level 1 of the skill, High Speed Divine Words, is 60%, and level 10 is 120%. meaning you do not need to get her to the max level 10 on the skill. You can get to level 8 and be done. Max HP, max MP, boom, right off the bat. So if you're lucky to have like a kaleidoscope or have a way to get her Noble Phantasm again really quickly, you just have 2 waves of her doing her Noble Phantasm. And it is an Ars Noble Phantasm, by the way. Damage, I believe she actually, if you do her interlude, her damage does go up. And again, the main thing is going to be the death. You can really hit the death, you'll be fine. But class advantage should take hold. They should die regardless. Nidocris is going to be a really good all-star for this section. Castergale is actually very good for this as well. Again, it is a 4-star, so sorry about that. But Castergale is going to be great for this for obvious reasons. I am so sorry. I want to take note of something here. His charisma, this is the highest charisma in the game. Like stat-wise, like damage-wise, like number-wise. 10.5 to 21%. From level 1 to level 10, there is no charisma that goes over that percentage-wise. That may seem small at this grand scheme of things, but that adds in overall when you're doing damage numbers. So you get this level 10, it's going to help you a lot. Keep that in mind. Granted, it's only 1%, but it is something to note. Also on a 5-turn cooldown, so you're only going to have 2 turns of downtime. Pretty good. You might not even need it if you can 3-turn it. Arch performance for the team for 3 turns and increases their debuff success. This is going to work good with Nidocris, by the way. Like, that just works wonders. 10 to 30% on top of that, and her debuff success rate is up for 30%. Granted, death and debuff are kind of this weird scenario. We've actually had a video talking about that, like, as the intricacies of instant death. But still, it does add in, and his Noble Phantasm does do some good damage. It gets buffed way later, 2 years from now, but we're not there, we're here. And reducing their defense by turns and doing some good damage, not bad. It's going to be good for this, especially because they're assassin enemies. Have we considered a Visperon? A Visperon isn't bad either. So at least here, look at that, about 80% of his own Noble Phantasm gauge. He does have a Buster Noble Phantasm. That should do some damage, even though, again, casters normally don't do that much damage. But he would do good here, and he does buff it up his own skills with the first skill. 20 to 30%. Not that bad. So, worst case scenario, if you need to bust out a Visperon, you can. But you guys might also be screaming, dude, what are you talking about? What are the best Arch Looping service in the game? They just give you for free. And he actually got a chance to get him earlier. Don't worry, I will talk about Cardboard Coon right now. Regardless of what you feel about Sieg, regardless of how you feel about him, he's actually pretty useful in this situation, and he's a welfare servant. So if you got him here, it'll work out. There's a lot of teams based around of just doing some absurd things with him, just for his stats alone and the skills that you have, and the fact that he's MP5 as well also helps, and having an Arch Noble Phantasm and reducing their defenses for 3 turns. It's a lot. It's pretty good. So Sieg is going to be helping you here. Let's get to the finals, which, funny enough, aside from that, the Garden one I actually prefer, because yeah, there are assassins there, but there's also sabers there. So we got some interesting things. The same casters from last time will work here, but we got some extra options with the fact that now we have sabers in the mix. Be mindful that this is a Spriggan. This is a Spriggan. If I click on it, it's gonna be a Spriggan. So it crits like a mother. So beware of that. You're going to want to burn him down really quick. What servant as an archer that we know that can actually burn down servants fairly quickly, that's actually not that hard to obtain, and actually pretty easy. Oh, hey, Uriel. How you doing? How you doing, Uriel? Uriel's pretty good. Really good, in fact. This is one of the servants that I leveled up early on and carried my ass all the way through Camelot because of certain things. Granted, there is not a single male servant, which would have been good. I do not believe they count a Spriggan as a male. I don't see a trait there. So no, doesn't have a gender. Kind of sucks. But she still does great damage overall. The fact that she can sustain and drain MP if it goes long. Obviously, the Roman soldiers can still be affected by this. And increasing her arch performance is going to increase her damage even more. Combat her passive damage. And look at that. Pretty good damage there. The charm is not going to be a factor here. You're doing this because she is a cheap single target archer that's going to take care of some troublesome people. But, you know, Uriel's not the only archer we have. We also have Robin Hood. Robin Hood is great. Look, notice how he's in a lot of art servants. Picking a lot of art servants, arts and busters. Those are everywhere and plentiful. But as you know, Robin Hood does great single target damage here. He does the extra damage if they have the poison debuff, which he can apply with his first skill. Please level that up as soon as you can, because it also lowers their attack in case they survive. So not only do you have the dot damage at the 500, but you also have the increased damage. If it's MP5, that's 15,000 or 1,500, obviously, and then even at overcharge 1, that's extra 200% with the bonus. The poison debuff. Really good, really cheap. Most of the archers at silver rank are just really good no matter what. Obviously, Arash. We got to talk about Arash, right? Again, we'll actually go into it in detail. This is one of the servants that deals almost the most AoE damage for his rarity, in some cases in other rarities. Like, first skill, whatever. Second skill, okay. Third skill, the fact that he can charge his double phantasm. He has a battery skill of 20 to 30%, which means you can put certain trapped essences on him that'll be able to get his double phantasm turn 1 and knock it out. Look at the amount of damage that he can do. Yeah, he dies, but come on, that's a lot of damage. This may not look like much, but I'll tell you what, Ogita Alter MP1 does 300% buster. MP1 Arash does 600, and MP5 does 1,000. Overcharge, look at that, adds even further damage. So it's a really good noble phantasm, and I've even actually just put Grails into him because I use him that much. He was one of the servants that I actually have a bond 10 with. He's that good. Respect his name. Respect Arash if you don't already. Really good. But most of you guys know this. You guys are really smart. You know all this stuff. I believe you guys are really smart. Come on. Believe in yourself. We got to talk about some servants, and I would actually suggest, I mean, I know Fujino's here and it's really good, but she's limited. You only have one time and you missed her and she's gone. But Chiron's here. Chiron, arts, single target, really good support skills, has evasion, has the critical damage and gaining critical stars, but again, this third skill, the fact that he can either put that on himself or other people and give 20 to 30% all card damage, really good. Really good. This Noble Phantasm, also really good. Removes their defensive buffs before the attack. Attacking Achilles' heel, literally, and it just say, bop, bop, there you go, take this damage. Note, by the way, for those who like Castor Artoria, that it does also remove Castor Artoria's thing for the future, just so you know. Anyway, pretty good. Chiron's good. He is not limited, so you can get spooked by him. But, of course, I can't really talk about really good archers without talking about Chloe von Einsburn. Chloe von Einsburn is really, really good. And before DW decided, hey, we should probably buff up regular Emiya to actually be good, because the little sister is doing way more damage than he is. She runs the streets, and I still believe she runs the streets. Her third skill has a 50% battery, so you already know, if you have a battery skill, especially 50%, you're pretty much top tier, and she's free. Also can increase her performance again 20 to 35% if it's 10. 35%. Normally it's 30. 35%. That's good. Even if it is only one turn. Still really good. Evasion, you know, you need that for protection. You need that for protection's sake. The fact that it ignores evasion for one turn, which activates first, is really, really good. So, again, really good. The fact that you already have her MP5, the fact that she does all this damage, quite good. So, at least for that, Chloe's going to be good for this as well. It's mainly to attack that Spriggan and mainly to attack Musashi. Ability Kit is also pretty good as well, but that's really it. Now, as for your CEs, these are the ones that are just going to be in the gacha. Actually, Plentiful Harvest is no longer there, so you cannot get that one. So that sucks. But Leyline is here. Leyline is actually a 3-star craft essence that starts in Noble Phantasm with 30%. But if you max limit break it, which is really easy for a 3-star craft essence, it bumps it up to 50%. So if you really need 50% CEs, just vanilla, nothing else, there you go, Leyline. That will help you if you haven't got any of the event CEs. Obviously, Imaginary Numbers Magecraft, 60% and 75% if you max limit break it. So if you're lucky, you have that really good. And obviously Kaleidoscope starting at 80% or 100%. That one has eluded many though, so I don't expect everyone to have that, but know that it is an option. Obviously you have a whole bunch of other CEs as well if we're looking at it here. Holy Night Dinner or Holy Night Supper, it's going to be a very, very good one. Also Golden Carp, School of Chaldea, these are things that we've gotten from previous events. Let's not forget Dive to Blue is also an option here, which I'm really surprised I do not see here. Funny. Anyway, Dive to Blue also works, so that's an option you can do here. Golden Sumo, if you have that, also works. Painting Summer, which is, a lot of you guys should have that. We just had the Summer 3 event. Painting Summer gives 50% if you max limit break it. So hopefully you were able to get all the copies of Painting Summer from that event. 3 of them were in the shop and 2 of them were in the point ladder. If not, kind of unfortunate. But like I said, at the very least, Leyline will be there to help you. In terms of Mystic Codes, I mean, Plug Suit generally works for you. If you're trying to swap out and use extra utility servants and everything else, you're going to use Plug Suit. You're going to kind of need that. Especially just for the straight up swap. That's the main thing you need, is for the swap. If you have it high enough to where it actually deals a lot of extra damage to AoE, cool. And the stun has its usage, but mainly the swap. That's kind of what you need. And honestly, that's going to carry you through. On the added benefit, this does drop Aura Steel. So there you go. There's some benefit from farming this outright. We could go in depth on farming everything, but honestly, the main thing you need to worry about is those lotteries. You need to focus on the lotteries. And those servers, all the servers I mentioned today, are going to be things that you need to focus on to help you through this. If you don't have all the 4 and 5 stars in the world, if you have really good 5 stars and really good 4 stars, then you should be in the clear. You should be good. You could double Scotty meme all you want if you have the means to do so. Granted, that's Spriggan. I'm really worried about that Spriggan. But if you have those teams, that's fine. This is mainly for people who do not have that. And I feel like it's really important that we talk about it, because this is going to be intense. Every time lottery comes around, it's going to be intense farming. But for now, it's going to be a lot of grinding. Hopefully these tips helped out. I wanted to talk with you today. What did you guys think, honestly? You agree with my tips? Do you got any other tips? What do you think? Let me know. I like talking about it.